Smile. How are we doing this morning, guys? Good, good. Exciting. This is my third year now at the Customer Success Summit. First time on this side of the podium. So thank you all for coming in and attending. My session actually means a lot to me, so thank you very much. I'm here to talk today about metrics that bridge sales and customer success. And as Aaron mentioned, my name's Nate. I'm on the corporate operations team at a company called xMatters. We help companies like yours, and specifically IT teams at companies like yours, to communicate and collaborate during major incidents and make sure that they're servicing outages and resolving them faster. Our product's an intelligent communications platform that connects the right people and the right systems. So right now you might be wondering, what exactly is corporate operations? And for me at xMatters, what that means is that I sit in between the sales, customer success, marketing, and product management, the sales, customer success, marketing, product management, and support teams to help define and execute on our customer success strategy. So like I said, I'm here to talk about aligning your sales and customer success teams. And I think we all understand probably why that's so important. We're all here at a customer success industry conference. We know that when teams work together, when pre and post sales are collaborating well, we're going to knock it out of the park in terms of uncovering opportunity within our existing installed base and really just being more successful as a company. Helps to create more successful customers, accelerate growth, and even boost morale on your teams. So I'm here today, like I said, to share more so how at xMatters we were able to actually build and define strong alignment between our sales and customer success teams. And the easiest thing for me to do is talk about some of the challenges that we faced when I started there about a year and a half ago. These are probably some challenges you're all intimately familiar with. First and foremost is that the teams are measured very differently. So our sales teams are typically measured on attaining their sales quota, hitting pipeline targets, or maybe achieving specific win rates, whereas customer success is going to be measured on things like product adoption, customer advocacy, or potentially churn, upsell, things of that nature. They're measured very differently, which can create a gap between these two teams. Going hand in hand with that is that the incentives and the way that we incentivize these teams is also very different, and the drivers behind those incentives are very different. So our sales teams typically are going to get paid out commission on a billings quota. How many people have commission-based salespeople at their companies? Yeah, very common. They also might get spiffs or cash bonuses based on pipeline targets, win rates, those sort of things, whereas our CSMs typically own some sort of base salary and potentially a variable cash bonus. Those, again, very different drivers behind those, things like upsell and cross-sell, hitting specific churn targets, or adoption goals. And on this topic of aligning sales and customer success, it's a really hot topic. You can Google it. You're going to find tons and tons of blog posts and all sorts of different literature about stopping right here, using these incentives to align their teams. I'm actually going to advocate against that. One, it's not always as easy as just flipping the switch on people's comp plans. And two, a lot of CSMs left sales backgrounds for one reason or another and ended up as a customer success manager. So I'd actually advocate against using this particular metric or these incentives in your company to align your teams, using some sort of selfish goal, more money. These incentives are competitive in nature. They create winners and losers, and we're typically trying to create some sort of team sport here, right? So the third challenge that we face were some communication gaps, also I think some pretty common ones for most companies. One is that our teams use drastically different tools. Our salespeople live and breathe in Salesforce. Our customer success managers live and breathe Totango. They spend a lot of their day in WebEx. So there's a communication gap in different tools, going to different places for different information about customers. Our teams are also distributed. We've got field CSMs. We've got our core customer success group in the East Bay, whereas our sales is completely based out of Utah, as well as some field sales reps. It makes it really difficult to communicate when you're not in the same building. And some people just, frankly, find it easier to work alone. So these are some of the challenges that we were facing when I started at xMatters, and when we started to really focus on tackling this and trying to build better alignment and better teamwork between our customer success and sales teams. So what did we actually do? Everyone loves their 3 tips, their lists. So these are my 3 tips for fostering customer success and sales alignment. The first one, probably the most common tenet of teamwork, is finding common ground. It shouldn't really come as a surprise at this point that successful customers can and should be the common ground that you rally these 2 teams around. However, it's not always super simple. So how actually do we make successful customers the common ground? For us, this was the key, measuring what our customers measure. And this might seem very obvious or something hopefully you've already thought of. To be honest, I hope that you have. I haven't really worked in an environment where we've really nailed this, though. What does that actually mean? So at xMatters, our value is really easy to quantify for our customers. This, by the way, is straight out of our sales pitch deck, and I can guarantee almost everyone in this room has some sort of important metrics or industry benchmarks that you're using for marketing that you blast out to the world to help acquire customers. You're speaking to those challenges, and obviously a successful customer is one that we deliver on helping them to tackle those challenges. So for us, as a communication, collaboration, and alerting platform for IT teams, we know, I mentioned it earlier, that the number one thing our customers care about is how quickly they resolve incidents. They also care about how often those incidents occur. They also care about whether or not the right people were informed and were communicating with each other while those incidents were happening. These are the things that we started to measure when we first started implementing Totango. And these are the things that really helped us to align our sales and customer success teams. So specifically, what I mean by that, this is a screen grab from our instance of Totango. This is a really important metric. This is the average event duration of major incidents for some of our customers. We use our custom metrics feature to define and track this, and what it's showing here is a downward trend in how long major incidents are lasting for our customers. This is pure quantifiable ROI that we can show in a matter of seconds to any one of our customers should they ask. The same is the case for our salespeople. When they're prepping for a big renewal or when they're out hunting for opportunity within their account base, they can look at these specific customer outcome metrics that we track and that we distribute to our teams. So again, aligning your teams around a common goal is super important, and the way that you can do that is by measuring what your customers measure first. We probably all care about how often are people logging in. Are our decision makers logging in? Are the people signing contracts logging in? Are they creating maybe emails in our platform, or are they adding new leads to our CRM? But those aren't the things that our customers actually measure. Those aren't the things that they use to define success. And if you define success correctly for yourself and for your customers, and you distribute those internally, you should see a big change. So the next step, step 2, pretty straightforward. Make it easy. Provide the tools and training that your teams need to work together and to collaborate around the customer. So for us, just to give you a couple examples of things that we've done, documentation is a huge part of any project. And for us, we take that really seriously. Any custom metric, all of the tags that we use in Totango, all of the different customizations that we've built out are documented in our own internal knowledge base so that anyone at xMatters has the ability to go and look at and answer their questions on their own. We made it really simple for them to understand how these customer success metrics are being calculated and where they can go to find them. Also, put it where they'll see it. This is pretty straightforward, and I think speaks really well to the new Zoe product that Guy introduced this morning. For us right now, we push a lot of these key metrics back into our Salesforce environment. Hopefully, a lot of you guys do the same thing. And the third piece here that will really help you to make it easy for your teams to collaborate is to have an expert, someone who owns this part of your business. For xMatters, that's me. I'm the SME. I'm the admin. Call it whatever you want. I'm the person who owns this customer outcome data. I'm the person who owns a continuous improvement of these products. And you should really have someone at your company as well. All right, so the third and final point, ways in which we can get our sales and customer success teams to work together. Recognize the benefits and reward the results. I think I just said that backwards, but that's okay. Benefits are pretty straightforward for why sales and customer success teams are going to want to work together. It helps them to hit their targets. It helps salespeople and customer success managers, for that matter, to make more money, and helps them to get recognized, which is going to lead to promotions and things down the road for them. On the recognition side, some examples of things that we've done at xMatters to really make sure that we recognize the team results that we're achieving. We have a Slack channel that seems to be a really common theme at the summit this year called All Hands Wins. And by the way, our CEO is the most active person in that channel. As we've said and heard a number of times already, customer success is a team sport. And if you're not acknowledging everyone on the team for the team wins that your company is delivering, then you're going to really struggle with getting your teams to work together. We also do, obviously, a host of different quarterly rewards. And at company events, we recognize people from all of these teams and how they've specifically helped us to deliver on these customer outcomes. So what were the results for us? We nailed it, at least in my opinion. We have successful customers, successful salespeople, and successful CSMs, which is really about all that you can ask for. Our teams are really strategizing together now, and they're coming up with really strong account plans that are moving the needle for both our customers and for us at xMatters. They're measuring and they're rallying around the customer outcomes, and it's helping our sales reps to close bigger deals and our CSMs to uncover more opportunity within our accounts. And our CSMs are creating more advocates than we really know what to do with, to be honest with you. We have hundreds of incredible reviews of our product out online. We have dozens and dozens of people that are now available to do things like speak at our industry conferences or do sales calls or are willing to do case studies on their use case for our product. In fact, just to brag a little bit, this is what one of our customers recently said about us online. And I think it speaks really well to the cohesive team framework that we've built in between these two teams. You'll notice that customer success, I would like to say rather, is more than just a support function. They, obviously us at xMatters, work with you, providing guidance to help you build out a process catered to your organization. So that's it, guys. Those are my 3 tips for aligning your sales and customer success teams. Measuring what your customers measure to align them around a common goal, making it easy for your teams to work together, and making sure that you're recognizing the results. Thank you.
Thanks,
Any
Nate.
questions? Yeah.
We have lots of time for
Sorry,
questions.
I sped through that. I was a little worried.
Are there any questions?
Yeah.
At xMatters, how do you guys deal with upsells and cross-sells? Is that CSM sales, and then how's the handoff happen?
Good question. So our handoff is through Salesforce. So let's say it comes from the customer success side. We have a process built in place where CSMs have specific qualification criteria that they'll take a lead through, some sort of upsell opportunity, expansion opportunity. Those are opened within Salesforce, assigned to a salesperson, and then they work together to close those deals. Yeah.
So does your product require any kind of customization that would be done with external partner or consultant? And if so, do you involve those guys in the implementation?
So I guess in theory it could. I mean, we have a fully open API, and one of the core use cases for our product is to integrate across multiple systems and to use our product as a way to automate processes that touch multiple, maybe even dozens of systems. So in theory, it's possible. We don't have a specific network, though, of partners that we work with for implementation. We handle implementation internally.
So that means you actually do customization.
So we do customization, absolutely, though, again, it's an open API, so our customers do plenty of customization on their own.
Yeah, so when you say measure what your customers measure or care about, are you aligning incentive comp for CS that way?
So we're not, actually. We don't use these metrics to spiff. We don't use them to base commission payouts or anything like that. We use it to quantify our customer health. We use it for early notification type of systems. And again, we push these metrics out to different systems where our salespeople live and spend their day, so that they have the ability now to check up on their own accounts and engage the CSM, which is really what we're seeing, which is really what we were hoping to see as well, is now when a salesperson is coming up perhaps on a new renewal, they don't all have access to Totango directly. Salesforce is still their world. So they can see, for example, maybe that a customer has been trending up in a specific area, for example, how long their events are lasting, their major incidents are lasting. So in the event that those are trending up, a salesperson can see that. They can work with their CSM to engage and talk about what are the recent touch points we've had with them. How can we strategize together to help them bring that particular, whatever that metric is, down or back to where we want it to be. It's not that we're using this necessarily as like a renewal predictor. We do use it absolutely for calculating health, but it's not a renewal predictor that our sales operations team is necessarily using to build regressions to prove.
Where do you draw the line between sales responsibility and success responsibility?
We don't have a hard line, to be honest with you. And that's kind of the whole point, right? Is that we're trying to rally everyone around the customer. Our salespeople, pretty standard, right? They have holdover for accounts that they might want to grow and they might want to extract a bit more commission out of or things like that. But there is no hard line in between at what point can sales engage or at what point can customer success engage. We get CSMs involved before the sale all the time. We have salespeople who've developed incredibly tight relationships with their customers, and they stick with them through the entire customer life cycle. So there is no hard line in the sand. We're about 250 people. Our customer success group is about 20.
And who owns the relationship post-sale?
Customer success, absolutely. So the question for anyone who didn't hear is how large is our company? We're about 250, and who owns the relationship post-sale? The CSM definitely owns that relationship. They're the ongoing contact. But again, we don't, and in fact, we would advocate against our salespeople completely disengaging from an account as soon as it closes.
We still have some time if anybody has any other pressing questions, or you guys have about 10 minutes before your next session.
Just a quick question. Are the sales team, are they commission, are they bonused based on the adoption metrics? Is that what you said?
Commission. Sales team is commission. Yeah.
But in terms of you were saying aligning around the metrics, like the key metrics of the customer, are they somehow measured, are they measured on that somehow, or?
No, so the reason that these exist and the reason why we measure these customer outcome metrics and publish them is that our salespeople understand that when customers are successful and when the things that we're measuring for our customers are successful, that there is opportunity for them that exists there. We're not going to use this and say, you don't get commission paid out unless your customer's hitting X adoption goal. That defeats the purpose. The purpose is to create an environment in which we rally around the customer and not necessarily to have some sort of rigid process that we put in place.
And you mentioned you communicate the metrics. Is this in Salesforce so they can see it? Is this using Totango? Just curious.
All of the above. So
okay.
One of the things that's been really successful actually is our customer success managers work obviously with their salespeople on a one-on-one basis to develop very specific types of reports, engagement reports, different metrics that they care about, and delivering them on a one-off basis to individual salespeople. There's a tendency, I think, to do the spray and pray method, right, where we put together some new big report that 50 different people weighed in on one or two different things that they cared about, and it gets delivered every other day to their inbox. Eventually, it just falls into clutter, right? We took a very opposite approach with that. Again, trying to really create an environment that encourages teamwork. So our CSMs work with salespeople to develop these one-off things that get delivered to them instead.
One thing I've noticed is that in a renewal subscription-based organization that more touch time is provided to larger renewals, right?
Yep.
The question I have is, how do I show more interest in an upsell-centric mentality when there's an upside with a small subscription that could possibly grow? How can I prove to people to provide more touch time to a lower income renewal? Yeah.
Well, are you measuring what your customers would measure in that case? It tends to make the case for itself, right? So if we, to put it in xMatters, terms, one of our common acquisition strategies is to get in very low and expand, right? We sell into DevOps teams. They're a handful of people within a massive IT company. Now, when we can show and when we can see very easily that these very important metrics, and again, for us, we want to see those trending down. So things like event times are trending down, right? It becomes very simple, very easy to see, hey, this customer they're constantly bumping up against their thresholds, their user thresholds, for example. For our product, it is very much our head of product calls it an insurance policy, right? In the IT world, we don't want things to go down. We want them to stay up. But in the event that they go down, we want them to get resolved quickly. And we want to make sure that anyone and everyone who should be informed is available to be informed. So for us, and how we've approached that is when, for example, someone hasn't necessarily received a message in a long time, but they're available to receive a message. A customer's purchased 50 licenses, they're sitting at 50 licenses. Their event times are trending down. These are indicators, whether or not we're actually measuring them, pushing them into sales reports and saying, these customers are going to renew because of whatever sort of analysis that we've done. Instead, now we've trained salespeople and CSMs to look at that and understand that because these customers are successful, because they're bumping up against these thresholds, now these exist, right? We also spend a lot of effort to market this stuff internally. We have, like I mentioned, our all hands win Slack channels. We do all of this stuff to make sure that we're really highlighting sales and customer success alignment and that we are really highlighting these wins, these big expansions. So if someone starts with a dozen licenses and we grow them to 100 or 200, that's going to be blasted throughout our entire company. Right? It's not just how do I convince one salesperson, but instead we've created a culture that says, hey, this customer success manager, this sales manager, they work together incredibly well. Look at the results they're seeing. This is why they're getting promoted. This is why this sales manager makes so much more money. Did that answer your question?
Hi, can you also share a couple of key examples of critical customer success metrics at different parts or different phases of that customer life cycle?
Sure. So that's a really good question. I mentioned just a minute ago that we want to get as many. We want everyone. What's the right way to say this? When it comes to licenses, for us, utilization is not about logging in. It's all about whether or not someone can, in fact, receive a notification of a major incident and collaborate with someone else. Right? So for us, early on, we're looking at how quickly or whether or not someone has reached a certain threshold of their deployment, for example, as a really early one. There's also some really key use cases for our product that we sell to. Obviously, we market about. So a good example of that might be a Slack integration, a Slack and a Jira integration. Our product listens to New Relic, for example, monitoring tools. We want to see that they're integrated with multiple systems early on in the process. So quick deployment of users, quick deployment of integrations. Further on, though, what we want to be able to see is these longer-term trends. Lower event times, quicker notifications, fewer people being notified per event. These are all really important things that we track.
Maybe one more quick question.
How many customers, on average, I guess, or so, does each CSM manage or are they responsible for? And then how often are they talking to them? Is it quarterly, monthly?
Yep. Good question. So we tier our customers out. We have three segments, kind of an enterprise, a mid-market, and a low tier. So it will range. At the highest end, it's a handful. And I literally mean a handful, like a half dozen. In the mid-market, our CSMs are holding more around the 40 or 50. And at the bottom, they're holding over 100 each. What was the second part of your question, sorry? Yeah, so how often are they? Yeah, I mean, at the very least quarterly, right? But it ranges, it depends by tier, right? Some of them we're in contact with daily. Some, at very least, we look for quarterly. Thank you.